So, what is it that makes it so that there's an overflow, so you have to stay in Varnado, but then you don't really have overflow or in the need for Varnado for the spring semester? What happens? What happens differently then?
Well, like Nona said in the beginning, we have a lot of students who don't tell us that they're not coming until right at the end of the semester, or right at the beginning of the semester. So that's why we were able to typically move those 70 students over this year. Based on, for spring, we basically have 60 students right now still residing in Vornado. We will have that many students who possibly live in University Place and Collins who will graduate. We will have some who will transfer out, and we'll have some that unfortunately don't maintain an academic standard to live on campus. And we want, we want the good students living on campus to be involved. So we have a minimum GPA requirement to live on campus, or you can appeal that if you had a bad semester. We do take that into account and can, based on your appeal, may let you live on campus. But with those different scenarios, we normally have enough beds open up in University Place and University Columns to move those students from Vornado. Also, with the legal aspect of it, the university has an agreement that we will fill those facilities first. So legally, we are obligated to ensure that they are at capacity before we utilize any of our facilities.
Okay. So, because of the graduation things and things like that that happen before the spring semester comes, you don't feel as though maybe the reason why in the spring semester students are able to be placed where they're supposed to be is because they just ended up leaving because they were unsatisfied with the fact that they couldn't get into where they wanted to live in first chance, so they don't leave and go to another school or just opt to just go back home and commute or something like that?
We have some students who go home and opt to commute, but a lot of times it's not the students who are in Vornado. I mean, there may be someone living in University Place or University Columns now who might be an incoming freshman or could be a senior. I know when I lived on campus a long time ago, my last semester I did my student teaching. Well, I did it out of town. So I didn't live on campus that last semester, even though I was a senior, because I was doing my student teaching. So there are a lot of different reasons or scenarios as to why students choose not to live on campus between fall and spring.
Well, we'll be right back with more Demon Life. And don't worry, Miss Nona, as well as Miss Kelly, will still be here with me to discuss more about what happens when campus housing goes into overflow.
Chronicling the times of Northwestern State University, this is Demon Life.
Welcome back. I'm your host for this edition of Demon Life, LaKimbria Williams. And today we still have joining us Ms. Nona Jordan, the leasing coordinator for Campus Living Villages, the company that provides housing for NSU, and the director of auxiliary services, Ms. Jennifer Kelly. Hi. Okay, so before we went to break, you were telling me about how with Varnado, it's not going to be open normally for the spring, and the students are normally okay with that. They don't leave Northwestern State University because they couldn't get to where they wanted to be. But Ms. Nona, when they first find out, do you get lots of calls from parents upset or trying to figure out what happened exactly?
Well, sure, I get lots of calls, and we try to explain to them it's all based on the date of their lease so it can be fair to every student. And to go over to my office right now, we have it set up on a database, and every student is listed with every lease date. And when a room becomes available, we sort by lease date and we pull the next available student. So it's done in a very fair way. We try to explain that to them. Yes, at first it is kind of shocking to them because when they come for senior days and things like that, they see University Place and University Columns. So it is kind of a shock, but once they get there, the staff, for those 60 people, we have 6 RAs over there for those 60 people, as well as 4 desk workers. So they get a lot of one-on-one attention. And so any need that they have or any issue they have, somebody's right there to try to handle it for them. The desk is open from 8 till 10 every day. So we try to give them all the benefits of living at University Columns and University Place. While facilities-wise it may not look the same, but programming-wise and things that we provide to the students is very equal.
Okay. I know that there are some requirements for having to live on campus first, like your first semester and things like that. Is that something that you think kind of adds to the fact that we go into overflow during the fall, Ms. Kelly?
Well, let me say one thing first. Let me back up just a little bit, because that's one misconception that a lot of people have. It's not that you have to live on campus your first semester or your first year. The ULS, the University of Louisiana system, has a policy that states any student under the age of 21 who is not married, not a military veteran, doesn't have a dependent child, hasn't lived on campus 6 or more semesters, is not a senior, is required to live on campus. So, yes, I do think that is one reason why we have housing that is in short demand, you know. But I also think it's because we have such great facilities. University College in 1994 was one of the first privatized housing units opened on in the state of Louisiana for student housing, and then we've opened University Place and University Place Phase 2, you know, in the last couple of years. So I think those facilities being fairly new, obviously the both phases of University Place are very new. I think that is one reason or another reason why we have such a demand for on-campus housing, because it's very convenient and it's very new. It's cutting edge of what students want. If you look at the other universities, I know when we were going to the board and getting our approvals, each month that we went, there was always a university right behind us. I know Nichols opened right behind us, and so did Louisiana Tech, opened their phases just a few months behind us. So we were all at the board together. So it's what our system is doing to, and what Northwestern is doing to recruit students, and that's to provide them the best accommodations that we can. And then once we run out of that, then we are using Vornado to fill that void or that need until we can honor the request of the students.
So with that being said, you know, the majority of the students that will come on will probably be freshmen whom aren't married and things like that and go into housing. But you hit on a good point when you said that the students that are above upperclassmen are pretty much staying. You don't get a lot of the people just wanting to go ahead and leave once they get a certain age or a certain seniority with their classes. You have seniors and juniors who are still living on campus housing.
Exactly, and they love it. I mean, I think that Campus Living Villages does a great job with programming, keeping students involved on campus. We have different areas within the facilities that, especially University Place, that we designate for CAPA, for our creative and performing arts students. We have a section for the Louisiana Scholars College. So we are able to keep students who are in the same discipline or the same major basically living together. They can study together, they can share notes, and they can do a lot of things together, which builds, you know, leadership. We also have the
Ambassadors leadership.
The ambassador leadership area. So those are the up and coming students who will be our freshman connectors and who will be, you know, the leaders of tomorrow for Northwestern. And so we have them living together so that they can all work together. And yeah, they don't want to leave. They love it.